A new and disturbing use of artificial intelligence.
That's a worst nightmare scenario for parents.
The Alberta football coach accused of creating child pornography deepfakes. Plus, the event center construction crunch.
Unfortunately, it has to come right through the middle of the intersection.
The road closures and delays as work picks back up post-stampede. And a 10-year-old basketball prodigy turns his passion into a page-turner.
Warm-ups, 3 p.m.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Terry Fikowski.
Good afternoon. A girls' football coach in Lethbridge has been charged with making child pornography using artificial intelligence. Tim Brook joins us live. And Tim, police say the man used AI to create child porn in what investigators believe is a first in Alberta, if not Canada.
Well, that's right, Terry. The provincial Internet Child Exploitation Unit says, as you mentioned there, the man used artificial intelligence to, quote, manipulate and sexualize two underage girls, photos of those two underage girls. 38-year-old Justin Tillery has been charged with making, distributing, possessing, and accessing child pornography. Tillery recently acted as a volunteer with Football Alberta's U18 women's team and was a junior girls football coach with the Lethbridge Rams, though he hasn't been with that team this year. Authorities won't say if any of the victims were athletes that Tillery coached.
When we did a search warrant at his Lethbridge home, we seized a number of computers, electronic devices, and what's happening right now is our forensic analysts are going through that to search for the digital evidence. I suspect that we will identify more victims as this investigation unravels.
Now, Tillery has been released from custody with a number of court-ordered conditions, including a ban on coaching anyone under the age of 18. Terry, he's scheduled to next appear in a Lethbridge provincial court on August 8th.
Thanks, Tim. RCMP are warning about fake Xanax pills after a 16-year-old died in the Edmonton area. RCMP say the pills look like the anti-anxiety medication Xanax and have deadly amounts of a highly potent opioid in them. They have an Onyx imprint on one side and a number 2 on the other. Police are asking parents to share photos of the fake pills with their kids.
And even if you don't think that your child is capable of taking those pills, they're out there, they're being exposed. Our children are being exposed to these type of things, whether you like it or not. It's important that we just speak to them, educate them anyways, whether they're going to protect themselves or potentially a friend.
Edmonton police put out a similar warning about the deadly drug last week. And a man has died after an explosion in the Shepherd Industrial Park Thursday afternoon. Police tell us a pressurized tank exploded at an industrial coating plant. The man in his 30s was rushed to hospital. Police say he succumbed to his injuries late last night. Occupational Health and Safety is investigating. A Calgary family is calling for an independent investigation after their nonverbal autistic son returned home from school with multiple bruises, scratches, and bite marks. Mark Villani is live outside Pine Ridge School. So, Mark, what are their parents telling you about all this?
Well, Terry, this child is nonverbal, like you mentioned, and has profound autism. His parents say that they're devastated by what's happened here, adding that the school staff weren't able to tell them what happened to their son when he returned home with these bruises and scratches on him. Now, after a couple of months, they're calling for an independent investigation, hoping to get some more information into exactly how their son could have suffered these injuries. Now, Pernayan Mohanta, also known as Tirtha, returned home from Pine Ridge School on May 29th with what his parents call bloody scratches on his inner thigh, bite marks, and red welts on his neck and arms. Medical observations from the family's doctors suggest the wounds could not have been self-inflicted and fear that this could be a sign of physical abuse. The Calgary Board of Education says that a comprehensive investigation was in fact conducted and that no staff member observed any sort of incident or interaction that could account for these types of injuries. The board adds that it's working with the family to support Tirtha's safety, well-being, and educational needs moving forward. But his parents say they simply want accountability here because the damage has already been done.
He's very much traumatized. He shared his blanket by himself, covered by himself, and he's shaking his body. So I don't know what I need to do.
I can feel as a mom what is the pain that he's going through. So of course it's not okay to see, and we are so blank. We need to figure out, we're thinking what can be happen.
Now, the family is taking extra steps. They're holding a rally on Sunday afternoon in front of City Hall. They're calling for justice and a safer school system for students with complex needs. The Calgary Police Child Abuse Unit also leading an investigation into this. The Calgary Board of Education says it's willing to cooperate with that investigation as well. Terry.
Thank you for this, Mark. Premier Danielle Smith is firing back after a report into last summer's devastating wildfires in Jasper criticized her government's response. The report commissioned by the town surveyed firefighters and others who battled the flames. It says provincial interference hindered efforts by incident commanders, forcing them to spend time managing issues instead of fighting the fire. The premier is calling for an apology, saying she's disappointed the report didn't acknowledge the province's swift deployment of crews, emergency funding, and operational support.
At no point did they say they did not want our response, and so this report comes as a shot out of the blue. It's unfair, it's untrue, and I would like them to withdraw it.
Jasper is under federal jurisdiction, and Danielle Smith believes Parks Canada should have asked for provincial support sooner, saying they weren't asked to help until after the fire breached the town. The province says it's making changes to its Alberta Next online surveys. The surveys were launched 3 weeks ago to gather opinion on Alberta distancing itself from the federal government, but there wasn't an option to disagree with the provincial pension plan, police force, or tax collection agency. The UCP government says it's now offering a none of the above option because of feedback from this week's town halls. So far, 32,000 people have filled out the survey. The province says the results of the altered survey will be separated from the original survey results. And the group that targeted Pierre Poilievre's Ottawa riding in the last federal election is at it again. More than 100 candidates are registered in Alberta's Battle River Crowfoot riding thanks to the longest ballot committee. The group floods ballots in protest of the first past the post voting system. The by-election is scheduled for August 18th. Well, now that the stampede is over, Victoria Park will once again become a major construction zone. Stephanie Thomas joins us live from along 12th Avenue and Stampede Trail Southeast. And Stephanie, this is for the construction of Scotia Place.
Right, Terry, as you can see behind me, the new event center and future home of the Calgary Flames is under construction. But as of Monday, a major intersection nearby will be completely closed down, and it will reopen before the Flames return to the ice at the Saddle Dome for the regular season. Now, officials say construction work slowed down when the Stampede was on, but now it's full steam ahead. Stampede Trail, formerly Olympic Way at 12th Avenue Southeast at the north end of the grounds, will soon be completely closed to traffic all directions. Now, this is to allow utility heating to connect to the new center. Officials are asking for patience from visitors, businesses, and residents to the area.
It's a disruption in an investment that hopefully they'll be able to enjoy down the road.
So there's more road closures to come, but in this summer construction season before that Flames regular season is when we're hoping to really concentrate those activities to minimize that disruption year-round.
Detours will be in place affecting drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists in the area, but officials recommend allowing for extra time, planning ahead, taking transit if possible. A reminder that the closure begins on Monday and that the scheduled reopening is for October 9th. Back to you, Terry.
Okay, thanks for this, Stephanie. And we will bring in Gina now for our first look at the forecast. The only thing that really saves people from construction is always weather permitting, yes. And we have maybe some potential for wild weather.
Yeah, been just head deep in the models for the last couple of hours here because we are seeing some convective development already in parts of southern Alberta, like Fort Macleod, areas closer to the foothills. Pretty quiet in Calgary, but it could be a very severe weather situation as we progress through the evening hours here. Already our southeasterly winds are quite strong. We're sitting at 20 degrees right now. That's not too much of a concern for the city, but if you're more in those rural areas, strong southeasterly winds right now could help in the development of tornadoes, because we have aloft very strong northwesterly winds. So you got two winds blowing in different directions. Many people in rural Alberta can understand what that can mean when it comes to tornado development. Severe thunderstorm watches for much of our broadcast area right now. This is what we're seeing on the radar satellite. Doesn't look like much, but this is what's coming our way. Just a lot of precipitation and instability that'll have more analysis of coming up in our main weather. But taking a look at the next 24 hours with your forecast brought to you by 5th Avenue Volkswagen, where you can win your ride. See dealer for details or visit 5thAvVW.com. Yeah. Heavy weekend of thunderstorm activity, Terry. We'll break it all down in your full forecast.
Okay, we'll check in with you soon. Thanks, Gina. Should it stay or should it go? Once slated for demolition, the province is looking for ways to revive the Royal Alberta Museum. Plus a warning from doctors with e-scooter injuries on the rise in Alberta. Also, if you have a news tip, text us at 10400. The province is injecting $2.8 billion into Alberta's Heritage Savings Fund, bringing the balance to a record $30 billion. The Premier made the announcement today alongside the Finance Minister and the chair of the province's new Crown Corporation that manages the Rainy Day Fund. The funding is part of the government's plans to grow savings and eventually wean the province off the resource revenue roller coaster. Once it hits $250 billion goal by 2050, the Premier says interest would be used to cover fluctuations in oil and gas prices, to invest in infrastructure and keep taxes down. For one final time, the province will accept proposals to maintain or repurpose the old Royal Alberta Museum in Alberta. Last August, the province decided the former building would be torn down and replaced with green space, but that plan faced significant opposition, with hundreds of Albertans signing a petition asking the historic building be saved. The former site of the Royal Alberta Museum was considered a cultural landmark for nearly 6 decades. The province says it's providing one final opportunity to explore proposals for the site. Submissions are open until September 26. And let's check back in with Gina for a look at our forecast, because it sounds like a nice day today, but that might change tonight.
Yeah, and the thing is, all that sun we saw this morning is actually adding to that instability that we are seeing throughout parts of Alberta right now. That sun just warms up the surface enough. You get that rising air, and then as this low pressure system moves in, that I'm going to show you in the moment, it just fuels that storm. So when we looked at that sky cam there, not looking too bad right now, and temperatures certainly comfortable out there. We're at 20 degrees within the seasonal range here at the airport, shaping up to be our high for today so far, though the downtown core a little bit warmer at 21. You can get your daily dose of greens at Serenity Golf Club, just 20 minutes east of Calgary. So we showed you this one board yesterday of our storm outlook for today, and it's pretty much holding up exactly as planned. So in the predominant yellow area, moderate risk for those strong 90-kilometer-an-hour winds and hail up to 5 centimeters in diameter, and localized rain amounts could be anywhere between 25 to 50 millimeters. But if you're joining us in this zone here, including Lethbridge, Fort Macleod, you also have the chance for stronger winds, larger hail, rain amounts still about the same, but also the potential for tornadic activity as well. So again, we're setting up for quite an active evening. And when we look at those watches and warnings, basically holding up with that storm outlook. So we have those watches in effect right now. Let's analyze the radar satellite here and see what we're dealing with. Already north of Cochrane, they're starting to see some embedded thunderstorms push in off the foothills there. Bigger picture is what's still in BC. There's the source of our low pressure right now. Looks far away, but it is quickly moving, as you can see. So this is what we're dealing with fronts. Your low is right here, just northeast of Kelowna. Stationary front and cold front sweeping in a counterclockwise direction. Here's the thing with these low pressure systems. You never want to be in the northeast quadrant of it. And that's where Calgary is, as the system uses its counterclockwise direction. So that sets the stage for a very active evening. evening. And that's what we see in your futurecast here. Take a look at this. Could be anywhere from 10:30 tonight, maybe a little earlier, maybe a little after, but very strong storm activity over Calgary, just as that outlook was suggesting. Clears out in the morning, but nocturnal thunderstorms are possible. Excuse me, and then a second round, losing my breath here talking about all this. Second round could come Saturday evening, not looking as severe, but still a lot of activity around southern Alberta. And guess what? Sunday could be the exact same thing. So it's going to be a weekend full of instability, still some calm moments in there, but we'll start to see those temperatures decrease as we get into Sunday, where we drop down to a high of 18. Anticipate scattered showers really throughout the day, and a similar situation for Monday as well. Basically a copy and paste situation. By the time we get into Tuesday, even more clouds move in as a trough really starts to develop over parts of BC and Alberta. But it's a one-day sustained rain event that'll really drive down the temperatures though, but starting to get back to seasonal as we get into midweek next week. Terry.
There are 31 new cases of measles in Alberta and 6 are in the Calgary area. The total case count is now over 1,400 with nearly 60% of those cases in southern Alberta. 2 doses of the MMR vaccine is the best protection against the highly contagious and preventable disease. Alberta continues to have the highest per capita measles cases in all of North America. Injuries due to e-scooters are up across the country. The Canadian Institute for Health Information says in 2023 to 2024, there were almost 500 hospitalizations in Canada related to e-scooters. That's up 32% over the year prior. Here in Alberta, injuries increased about 22%. The general manager of e-scooter company Bird Canada says the number of people using e-scooters is accelerating much faster than the number of injuries.
What's really frustrating me about all this is that these are totally predictable and preventable injuries, and yet we continue to waste so much of our healthcare resources dealing with them when we really shouldn't have to be dealing with them.
That doctor says users need to understand the risks that scrapes and broken bones may heal, but spine and head injuries can be life-changing. More than 1,700 cyclists are taking part in the Enbridge Tour Alberta for Cancer event this weekend. Riders will pedal either 65 or 100 kilometers a day to raise awareness and money for the Alberta Cancer Foundation. Funds will support the more than 24,000 Albertans who are diagnosed with cancer each year. The event starts Saturday morning at the Strathmore Stampede grounds, and we wish them luck. Another vote for Canada Post workers, while the union is urging them to reject the latest offer from the government when we come back. The Post workers are being urged to reject the latest contract offer from the Crown Corporation. The offer would see wage hikes of more than 13% over 4 years. The Canadian Union of Postal Workers is telling its 55,000 members that a strong no vote would not only reject the offer, but protect the integrity of the bargaining process. The two sides are at a stalemate after more than a year and a half of talks. The Canada Industrial Relations Board will hold the vote on the proposed deal starting next week. A staple in Alberta's art scene is in financial trouble. The Grindstone Theatre in Edmonton is a nonprofit that offers affordable space for local artists to put on shows. Usually the theatre is able to make up the subsidized cost to artists through its main stage production or comedy festivals, but is now struggling to stay afloat. 6 staff have been laid off and programming has been scaled back. The Grindstone has launched a fundraising campaign to help stay afloat.
It really sucks, but I'm very optimistic that we're going to get through this time. We're going to rebuild, restructure a little bit, and yeah, it's hard to ask for help and say we're not doing well.
The initial fundraising target is $40,000 to cover expenses by the end of August. A junior girls football coach in Lethbridge is accused of using artificial intelligence to make child pornography. Here's Camilla DiGiuseppe with a look ahead to the CTV News at 6.
Hi, Terry. Justin Tillery was arrested by Alert's Internet Child Exploitation Unit on Wednesday. Investigators say Tillery used AI to manipulate and sexualize photos of underage girls. Coming up at 6, how often this type of crime is now being reported in Canada. Also ahead, construction on the new arena is ramping up. At 6, how businesses in the area feel about the lane closures until October. Terry?
Okay, thanks, Camilla. Some fun events are happening in southern Alberta this weekend. Settler Days is underway in the village of Sterling. Tonight features bouncy castles, horses and wagon rides, and a movie in the community center. Tomorrow there's a parade, car show, and toonie swim at the Sterling Pool. Fireworks wrap up the festival at 11 p.m. on Saturday. And Medicine Hat is hosting the Quonset Days Country Music Festival. It kicks off tonight and wraps up on Sunday. All the money raised goes to support the ALS Society of Alberta. This is the 15th year for the festival, and tickets are still available. And we just need weather to cooperate. Right now in Calgary, it's mainly cloudy and 20 degrees. Gina is tracking some risk for severe weather tonight. We're going to check in with her after the break. People are encouraged to get out and enjoy Alberta's parks tomorrow. Since 1990, Parks Day has been celebrated on the third Saturday in July. The day is meant to highlight the benefits of natural spaces across Canada. This year marks the 95th anniversary of Alberta's provincial park system. And I'll say it again, it really depends if you can go out and enjoy the parks, depending on the weather.
I mean, the morning looks fine.
Okay.
I think we'll be okay. It's really this evening and then tomorrow afternoon and evening where we see this similar pattern of convective activity. So right now, temperature is pretty good out there. We're at our high of 20 degrees within that seasonal range. Not breaking any records, but we certainly are under some watches and warnings right now with this pretty big system that's starting to track in from a southwest to northeast direction. And if you're joining us to the northwest, close to Cochrane right now, you can see there's some supercell development there. And we're expecting to get a pretty severe storm system tracking through Calgary tonight that we'll talk about more detail in our 6 o'clock show. But let's take a look at the 3-day forecast, because as I mentioned, much of the same throughout the weekend here. 21 tomorrow, a nice morning, but active weather in the afternoon, and then more sustained rain and less of a thunderstorm risk for Sunday and Monday.
Okay, thanks for this, Gina. A 10-year-old has dedicated the last 3 years of his life to basketball and becoming one of the best players ever. Now he's written a children's book sharing his daily routine to inspire other youngsters. And Marion Henry spends a minimum of 4 hours a day in the gym training. 4 hours. His dad, Arnold, who played Division I basketball at an American university, now coaches his son. Arnold produced a social media video of his son's daily routine that has more than 6 million views. That's when the two knew they were onto something.
And then some people liked it and they said it was inspiring. So one day my dad was like, how about we make this into a book? And then we made it into a book. And yeah, I think it really inspired people and younger kids to have the proper habits and good routines.
The book is called Amarion's Routine for Success and is geared towards kids 7 to 10 years old. For more information, you can head to our website, ctvnews.ca/Calgary. That is so impressive. I'm sure we'd all be inspired. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.